I knew my staff. I knew who I wanted to hire for the most part. I think the only person staff-wise that I didn't think was going to leave was Steve Kern from St. Bonaventure, who's been up there for such a long time, well-respected coach in the league. You know, St. Bonaventure has done a lot with little, and getting on the phone with him, it was a little bit of a reach. But he wanted something, something different. He came down, interviewed, and once I got him on board, and I'll get into kind of the guys that we ended up having to get. I was impressed by Coach Kern just because, I was making calls, trying to get, different guys in the portal, trying to just get a feel of what they were trying to do. And for some reason, St. Bonaventure just kept coming up. And I'm like, who the hell is recruiting, all these kids from St. Bonaventure? And right when I got Steve's information, because I didn't know him, it ended up being Coach Steve. And so that impressed me a lot. And yeah, like that's just kind of how this thing from day one till I guess you could say day 10.
So you're telling me you didn't know Steve prior to all of this? Like
I
you
did not
didn't
know.
have. Wow.
I did
Okay.
not. I had my I knew Coach Mike. Obviously I knew Coach Lewis. Obviously Lamar Butler. Coach Mark I did not know when I originally hired for that position. The guy came and just left, but Coach Mark I knew a little bit. But outside of those guys, I did not know Coach Steve.
Did someone put you on? Did you strategically want someone that was from the A10? Like how did
Yes, that yes. I wanted to be strategic because again, you get your first job, man. I made the mistake of going to the Final Four, but I had to go because I wanted to interview a few people. You get bombarded. And when I say bombarded, it's an understatement because it's such a hard business and everybody wants a chance. And when you're connected and different people, it's hard to actually understand that they think their way into the business is through their relationship with you. That was a lesson learned. But yes, I went down to Houston and I did not know Coach Steve, but he came highly recommended through a couple people that we know mutually. And I just liked his profile. I did want somebody that had experience in this league. That was my biggest thing. And not just somebody that had experience, but somebody that had, some success with where they were. And he checked off that box. He's a veteran. He's been coaching, longer than all of us on his staff. And I just thought that type of experience would be good for me in year one.
We think that's a slam dunk hire. And so, I got a chance to watch a practice and a couple summer, whatever they're called. And I noticed that he was really working the bigs. And I know that he worked big work with St. Bonaventure as well. Is that like, what have you seen in him, that compares to other big men coaches? Because, I feel like we got some good size. I'm excited to see how we use them. What's he kind of bringing on a day-to-day in practice?
Again, he's done a tremendous job of just building relationships with our guys. Again, when you put together such a new team, bunch of different personalities, bunch of different guys that, come from different programs, having a guy that's experienced that guys can trust is the first thing. But more importantly, man, even at his old age, like he's out there getting active. Obviously I consider myself a younger coach and the rest of my staff were fairly young. He's kind of the veteran, but when you come watch a practice, you really can't tell the difference. And I think there's a big trust factor when you got a guy that's grinding, not a guy that's just standing there and pointing and saying, hey, do this, do that. Like he's getting active in those drills. And I saw that in the first couple of workouts. And in my mind, I get active as well. But I was able to just kind of take a step back and say, you know what, this guy has done it. He's done it at that position, especially. And I trusted with him. And so far, so good.
And so with Lewis and Mike, you kind of alluded to the fact that you knew that they were going to be, a part of your staff, like right from the get-go. What was it about them that you knew that, they were going to just up and leave their current roles? Like, and then what kind of plan did you have for them? Like, you're going to have someone as like a recruiter, or did you want to have someone as, X's and O's? Like, so how did you view them?
Well, I over the years, I built a really good relationship with Mike Econon. Mike he was previously just at Sam Houston State as an assistant. He was actually headed elsewhere, and I won't say where, through that transition. He was there for about 10 days. And when I gave him a call, it was a 50-50 decision for him. I've been impressed with him prior to getting his job, just because, you know, he's worked at Texas A&M with Buzz Williams. He's worked at Arkansas and Nevada for Eric Musselman. And he's also worked at Memphis with Josh Pastner, and he spent some time with the Spurs as well. A guy that can survive in those places, in those environments at that level, brings a lot to the table. And he's a guy that we've always had different conversations, different basketball conversations, and he had a lot of roles and a lot of responsibilities at each and every one of those programs. And I like that profile, and he has a good reputation of being someone that that can recruit nationally. The thing about George Mason, but also the A-10 in general, I think it's a place that you can really recruit nationally. We all know the DMV is rich with talent, but given the academic profile, given playing in a major city, given a really good league that you can play in other major cities, I think that becomes very, very attractive to not just guys within our region, but also guys outside of that region. And proof of that is, you know, one of our guys that we do have committed. I can't say his name, but we do have committed in the 2024 class. And so I was confident with what Mike was able to do and his experience with the previous coaches that he's worked under. And then Louis Hinnock, for me, it was just one of those things where I've always respected Lou. Lou's been a part of a very, very successful program. That's been his only stop. But I also needed somebody who was respected in the DMV that could not necessarily take some things off of me, but just additional help as well in the DMV, because now I'm going from, you know, being that top assistant that's recruiting, that's doing a whole bunch of different things, but a whole bunch of other responsibilities now come with that. And just having someone who can kind of get the same thing done in this region that, you know, it's going to be 75% of our recruiting. Coach Lou brought that to the table. He was a high-level player at Boston College. He's well-respected in the area. And I was just confident that, you know, within all of that, from a basketball standpoint, I knew the personalities would fit, if that makes sense. A lot of times you have different people that, you know, get assimilated on staffs and different things that might not always make sense. And guys end up just being kind of just doing their own thing. I mean, we've been, you know, one of the things I've been impressed with, not just my guys on the floor, but also my staff. There's, you know, I can't say more than enough about how good we've been as a staff so far.